primary ignition.
I'm just not the hero type, clearly.
What a piece of junk.
Enterprise, this is the captain.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's all part of the plan.
Engage.
Welcome back to Podcast 2 for 1. I'm your host, Donovan Thompson, with my co-host,
Daniel Wingfield.
And today's episode 223 of Podcast 2 for 1, youtube.com/@2for1 Studios. Guys and gals, it's the best place to consume all the content. If you didn't know, listeners, and let's be honest, you probably did not, we are sponsored by Kapow Comics, located at 4047 East Kill Avenue in Sherwood, Arkansas. There they have comic books, collectibles, graphic novels, and of course, special guest appearances throughout the year.
Kapow.
Kapow. Daniel, it's episode 223, and there are all kinds of things we could talk about. But at the time of this recording, it is Thanksgiving week. And as you wisely suggested, that we maybe talk about some of the things we're thankful for in 2024 in terms of our favorite media genres here, TV, movies, gaming. And you tasked me with coming up with one of those per category. Even though the year is not yet done with, and there's a few things to still see and to consume.
Indiana Jones, baby. Indiana Jones.
We haven't talked about this. It's like a week from now, 2 weeks from now.
I bet you can't wait.
Well, I'm not thinking about it. So I'm like, it's healthy because I'm not thinking about it. My expectations are not high at all. And like, I'm going to go into it and just probably have I'm assuming a good time.
I hope so.
Me too. But that being said, even though it's the end of November, I have a good feeling about my choices so far. And I think that if someone, wanted to pick up any of these three of mine, they'd feel good about their decision. So, I want to go first with, you want to start with movie, TV, or gaming? Which one do you want to do first?
You choose. Movies.
Let's do movies. Okay.
Yep.
So I don't think you've seen this movie yet.
Okay.
But it's Dune Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
So even though, right now I have like a letterbox list. So I do a top 5, top 10 every year. And I can't finalize that list until I see at least 52 movies a year, including all the Best Picture nominations.
Wow.
And so right now I think Deadpool Wolverine is number 1, but it was Dune Part 2 earlier in the year. But I know right now that it's going to shift back that way because even I was riding the high of Deadpool Wolverine, but Dune Part 2 is, is it perfect? I mean, there's maybe an argument to say it is, but ultimately it is there's just nothing really you can find wrong with it. That's what's so good about it. Deadpool Wolverine, yes, it scratches an amazing itch and it feels good in a lot of places, but it's still got its own issues. There's still visual effects, mishaps, there's limitations to it. There's certain things that's like, well, I like that, but who else is going to get that? Dune Part 2, and even this goes to Dune Part 1, is something that when you look at it, man, on a technical level, on a story level, the music, the visual effects, the cinematography, the acting, it is impeccable all the way through. And you feel like you're watching a movie that is made with intent and people who are absolutely honed into their craft. And so I know it will be my favorite movie of the year. It'll be my number 1. I doubt there's anything coming out. Maybe Kraven the Hunter will beat it. Who knows, Daniel, in December. But I doubt it.
Oh, man.
And so I think if you haven't seen Dune Part 2, make sure you've seen Part 1 first, but then go watch it. I'm going to watch the prequel show eventually. It's not getting as amazing reviews.
Right.
But I still want to watch it just so I can obviously consume and just get into this world a little bit more. But I watched I would say the best scene of Dune Part 2 the other day, and you just get lost in it. Like the speech that Timothée Chalamet does, and you're just like, oh my God, this guy is incredible. And I am personally foaming at the mouth for you to watch Dune Part 2 so we can talk about it because it is magical.
I need to watch the first one again because I just don't really remember any of it. I remember moments, but the plot, I'm gonna feel probably really lost if I just dive into 2. I know my wife and I, maybe with the holiday break, we'll have some extra time to just do it'll probably take 3 nights to get through all 2 of them. If I had to guess, they're pretty,
probably 5 hours total
long.
with both of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, hey, I'm telling you, dude, if you watch, if you get a whiff that you're watching Part 2 again, let me know because I will rewatch it
Okay.
and then we'll discuss it because
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
so good. I need to talk to someone about
I
it.
mean, I know it's like it's clearly one of the best movies made this year. Like I agree. Even the first one, it was so cinematic. It really felt like it felt Nolan-esque. Like when I think of movie directors that make movies that just feel incredibly like you had to be in the cinema to watch this. It's like Nolan, it's Denny, Villeneuve. Those are the guys that are doing it right now and have been doing it for a while.
He's so good. And last thing I'll say before I hear your answer is, I really liked Dune Part One. Like I
Yeah,
really did. Obviously for all the reasons you just said, and primarily he's my top five favorite directors of all time. And the second one is better. It's a better movie.
hmm.
And it's the first one's all payoff, and obviously it works because of the first one, but it's all payoff. The second one is all all the build up, and then this one's all payoff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it
It's
feels
exciting.
good, and it feels like an event. And there's a version of that where they release the super cut where there's no cut. It's just one
Hmm.
big long
I'm
5 hour
sure. Well, they're
movie.
making a third one, right? So you need like the third one. And you got one
Yeah,
big long 9 hour movie. It's like
and
it'd be
I'm
like as long
excited.
as Lord of the Rings without the extended editions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The third one will be like probably a 10-year gap between two and three.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
so there'll be a gap there, but
Is there a gap in the books, I think, I
there's a
guess?
gap in the books, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that they just end it there instead of going the crazy route that the books go.
I have heard, yeah, it goes interesting directions. Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. Anyway, Dune Part Two, everyone, if you haven't seen it, you need to check it out.
Yeah.
What's the movie you're thankful for this year, Daniel?
My movie, you're gonna love it. You're gonna be so tickled. The
I hope
movie
so.
I'm thankful this year for, I think the most, is Alien Romulus. I think
Consider me
I
tickled.
this was the year of the Alien for me, Started pretty early with Alien. We did Aliens with Bruce, and then we all watched Romulus together and reviewed that as well. And I think, it's kind of a part of a trend that I'm experiencing right now where I'm finding more horror that I really enjoy and like finding like kind of like there's nothing that quite holds my attention like horror. You know what I mean? Like the idea of being scared by something or just trying to like I think for me it's always I'm trying to anticipate the moments that'll scare me as like almost a defensive
Mm,
mechanism, but there's something fun about that too. Like that
absolutely.
experience when you're watching them. Um and so yeah, I just think, for it was a great movie. It had a great cast, had some great horror to it. It felt like a great adventure in the alien universe. Um but yeah, it was just that thing of like I think um it more solidified that like I'm just really enjoying this genre and this style of movies that I haven't really before in the past. And I was really, Alien One and Aliens are great, and I think I can really appreciate what they did and what they were doing. It was nice to have a modern day, adventure in that universe. And
And
so
you watched Prometheus this year too,
I
right?
did. You're right. You're right. Yeah, yeah. So I have seen, quite. I need to watch Covenant and 3 and 4 eventually. I'm sure. Those
And
the
Alien versus Predator. Come on now. You gotta
Sure,
watch those
even though
two
those
for
aren't
sure.
canon, sure. Um, yeah, yeah. So yeah, Alien Romulus for me, man. I know I never would have guessed that at the beginning of this year that would be like the movie I'm most thankful for this year. Now, I
That
will
does tickle
preface
me.
that I have not seen a ton of movies this year. I've watched a lot of TV though. Like we've gone through a lot of series, my wife and I this year, and so yeah. But Alien Romulus, great, great, great movie and great alien film.
It just dropped on Hulu, I think
I
this
saw
week
that. Yep,
actually.
yep.
And my Blu-ray, my Steelbook Blu-ray should be in the mail sometime soon.
That's awesome.
And it's one thing about horror is that it taps into it's a reflection on humanity, right? Typically,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Alien franchise, obviously, maybe more so in the first one it did that, and the second and the later
Mhm.
sequels are just kind of reflections of the same sentiment.
Mhm.
But one cool thing I think, and I'm assuming the reason you gravitate towards this also, like particularly with Prometheus, is just the sci-fi element of all of it.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Prometheus, whether you like the plot or not, I love the way it looks. I love the
Yes.
score and just I mean, to me, that I love that kind of
I
sci-fi
love the
world.
foreboding idea that like our precursors are like we're evil. or like, want to wipe us, like,
or disappointed in us,
sure, whatever it is. Yeah, but but there's like this, like, they're not going to be nice to us kind of thing, like they don't like
It's
us
scary.
for whatever reason. Yeah, but it's like a nice horror sci-fi world. That feels like a nice way to make the whole universe have that tinge of horror to it.
Yeah.
But that it still is just a different world to explore, a different sci-fi experience. So,
Well, there's this thing too of like the child wanting approval from the parent and the child ultimately being a monster in the parent's eyes, right? Like goes from
yeah,
the engineer to the
right.
human to the android, and the android to the alien.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's kind of like
Yeah.
it's all a
Cycle.
disappointment. The cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you haven't seen the Alien franchise, I recommend everyone to watch those. Of course,
Mhm.
I'm a huge Alien fan, and I am very excited for whatever comes next, particularly Alien Earth next year.
Yes, me too. Me too.
It'll be TV, so it'll be your favorite thing. I'm assuming
And
you.
no, is it Noah Hawley? It's the guy from Fargo that's
Yes.
doing that. Great pedigree. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what he does with that.
I need to watch. I need to watch that. Also,
Oh
Fargo.
man. Whew. You've got
I need to
like
watch it.
there's 5 seasons and 4 of them are peak TV. Peak
Yeah, I
TV.
need to do it. I want to do it. It's not even like a want to
That
do
first one too. I mean, the first one's basically a retelling of the movie,
it, which I
essentially.
like.
But with
Yeah.
like Martin Freeman, and he steals the show.
He's
And
great.
Martin Freeman and Billy Bob Thornton. That's them that season. They
Oh.
both just
Heck yeah.
fucking kill it, dude. Like
John
Billy-
Hamm's in there later, right? John Hamm.
he's in it.
Am I
He's
making
in
that up?
season 5, and
Okay.
I mean, you could really watch them in any order, I guess. Like there are some things that play over, but season 5 is fantastic. Yeah, that was
Aren't
the
they
one.
all, aren't they all like, let's say the first season's 80s as an example, and season 2's like 70s. It keeps going back, right?
They've jumped back and forth a little bit, so
Okay.
not entirely. Yeah, so the first season was in the 80s. I think the second season was like the 60s or 70s. But then like the third season, I think, is modern day. That's the one with
Okay.
Kristen Dunst and
Oh.
the guy from Breaking Bad, Todd. They're
Oh,
both in that one.
That's her husband.
Oh yeah, they got
Yeah.
they got together because of Fargo.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know, I watched.
And they are
You may like this.
fantastic. Like Kristen Dunst, it's like one of the best performances I've ever seen from her.
Yeah.
It's so
Well,
good. And
hey,
Ian McGregor's in season, I think it's 3 or 4. But anyway, Ian McGregor's in like the following season. He's fantastic. They never like there is one season that just everyone kind of agrees isn't great. It's got Chris Rock in it, but
Oh,
they almost never miss with the casting and stories, man. And then it's just good. It's good filmmaking and storytelling. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
that kind of peak, like everything has a purpose, everything's thought through, that kind of stuff. So
I think
will enjoy it.
I need to watch it. And piggybacking off that, we'll jump to TV next. We'll say
Yeah.
gaming for last. Is that I watched Civil War earlier, about a month ago now, which
movie.
has Kirsten Dunst and
Yeah,
her
yeah.
husband in it.
Nick
who
Offerman,
played-
all them. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really good too. I mean, it was a little slow, but it was exactly what it wanted to be, I think. And it was,
Sure.
I thought it was.
I know there was
pretty,
some
pretty
some
good.
people's expectations were a little weird, I think, going into it, and some people didn't.
I don't really know
love
what
it,
they. I don't know what they expected, but
I don't
I mean,
either.
I
Were
thought
they
it was
just
well
expecting
made and
like Democrats and Republicans to be killing each other on screen for an hour and a half?
it's
or
and it's
something?
not that.
I know,
It's
I
not
know. I
that.
think it's
yeah,
and it's smart for not being that. That would have been stupid.
yeah. It's a more nuanced take, and it's also
Yeah.
not really about that. It's about
No,
something
it's
different.
Yeah, I like it. I like.
Yeah.
I that to me is what it always seemed like it was going to be. It was never going to be this stupid on
Yeah.
the surface like political violence movie.
yeah, yeah. And it's
None of these
not.
actors would
Obviously,
be in that. Anyway,
yeah. And there's like, of course, parallels, but also it's
of
like.
course.
There has to be because there's only a two-party in the U.S. There's only a two-party system, and it takes
right.
place in the U.S. So you're going to
Right,
get some
right.
parallels there. So anyway, as far as TV shows, there's a lot of great TV I've seen this year, and this is not the best TV I've seen all year,
Mhm.
but it's something that we did a review on a couple of years ago, 2021.
Ah,
And I just picked it up on Sunday, so a couple of days ago. And I'm almost done with season 1, and it's Superman and Lois.
okay.
The series finale, I think, is this week or next week
Okay.
of the
Okay.
4
Yeah,
seasons. And
yeah.
so I saw like some buzz at the end of last season, so earlier this year, or end of last year, and there was going to be they announced season 4 is going to be the last because the DCU is fixing to kick in, the Arrowverse is officially done now,
Mhm.
all those kind of things. And I I was just sitting there thinking this last weekend, and I've watched the first like 5 episodes like four
Mm-hmm.
times now. It's not that I didn't like it. I just got busy and other
Sure.
things started creeping in. And it's not a show that, Kimberly wants to watch with me or anything. So, it's you have to find the time, the moments to do
Right.
it.
Right.
So I picked it back up this weekend because I'm just foaming at the mouth for anything DC right now, like Batman or Superman. I know we're waiting for the Superman trailer, hardcore right
Yeah.
now. And I was like, I really like Superman Lois, what I've seen of it. I want to pick it back up. And it's just more content that's really well made, a decent
Yeah.
acting, good cinematography, a
Yeah.
decent visual effect. I mean, there's pretty good visual effects in there. And what I like about this show too is that it's not a monster of the week. It
Hmm.
is like I think the first season's 15 episodes, season two is the same, season three is 13, and then the last season is 10 episodes.
It's
And
very serialized.
so far, these first, I'm almost in season one. I got like 2 episodes left. It's just one long story. There's
Hmm.
no villain of the week. I mean, there's a few things that kind of pop up, but it's all tied to the larger narrative. And so far, this larger narrative has been it's been fun, and and it has surprised me in terms of as a comic reader because I know almost everything. Like I know all the characters, what they've typically done in the comic history, even in the
Hmm.
movie history, and so seeing like their interpretation of that. And then I've never been a fan of superheroes with kids, no matter
Sure.
who it's
Yeah.
been, but it has been nice and different seeing Superman tackle how do you make him relatable and how do you make
Hmm.
him have a weakness? It's
Sure.
give him something he cares about.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
having two kids and a wife that could die at any moment, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so
Sure.
I think it's been great. I can't think how to pronounce his name is Tyler Ochin or Hitchin.
Hmm.
But I think he's a really good Superman.
Hmm.
And I've been really enjoying it. And if you have a DC itch before we get Superman from James Gunn, I highly recommend it so far. Again, I haven't
Hmm.
watched seasons two, three, and four, but I'm excited to power through it. And I think I'll be done with. I know I'll finish it before the end of the year. So
That's awesome.
I've got the bug now, so I'm gonna finish it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I agree. The first few episodes I remember really enjoying, and I agree. I liked the guy playing Superman. I would hope and I would assume we might see him on the Crisis on Infinite Earths arc that
That'd be
eventually
cool.
happens. I think, especially because he seems pretty well. Like that show has a pretty dedicated fan base. Like a lot of people really like it. It's not a worldwide
Yeah.
hit, but the people that like it really like it and really
Well,
don't.
just
I
going
don't see many
through
negative things ever seen said about it.
just going through the comments in some of these websites, they're almost always like, "Hey guys, it's kind of what I'm saying. Like, if you want Superman content, this is pretty good. Like, it's better
Yeah,
than Henry Cavill. Does Henry Cavill have a better suit, better visual effects? Does he look more like Superman? 100, of course.
but better
But
storytelling, better
but
character
Tyler's
development.
better character development.
Yeah,
He's Superman.
yeah.
He's more Superman than Henry Cavill ever was, and I love Henry Cavill.
Yeah. We'll say
So
more than Henry Cavill was ever allowed to be. That's what we'll say.
that's a 100% more accurate statement.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
yeah. Because
Anyway, what's
I believe he
your?
had it in him. I believe he. I
No,
love.
I did
I
too.
love
And there was hints of it
all
in there.
Henry.
He was absolutely handcuffed by a script and by a
Yes.
director.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
100%. So, and the studio.
Yeah. All right, TV. Yeah. So I'm actually. I know I sent you a preview. I'm actually going to kind of throw a curveball at you first. So at first I was saying my TV show was going to be Arcane, and it's still and I had a different one as honorable mention, but now I'm going to have Arcane as my honorable mention and have a different one as my TV show pick. So I do want to talk about Arcane. So Arcane just finished this last Saturday,
I heard the
and
end was not up to snuff.
so it's so hard to put this into context without having watched the first season and the second season right back to back. Like I just
Yeah.
feel like I can't fully understand how I feel about it as a whole. How I feel right now is that yes, season 2 felt a little more rushed plot wise and just a little bit less like the animation is still just like it just is like the times they'll switch animation styles, like they do these certain like dance animations at 4 frames a second, and like they do these things like it's just it's breathtakingly beautiful. The emotional moments are still there and they hit really well. I just feel like the first season had this perfect pacing of build up and impact, And it just felt like it almost felt like we needed like 3 more episodes or maybe even another season to have that pacing of build up and impact. We got all the impact. I just don't feel like we had enough build up to make it as impactful as it could have felt. You know what I mean? We're like, yes, this is awesome. And there was still like, even in that final episode, there's some like motherfuck yeah, like there's some like moments that make you want to like, cheer and stuff like that. It's still one of the best shows on TV this year. And I think this was almost maybe always the curse of it. That first season is just so perfect. Like, I can't find problems with it. I've seen it twice. I'm going to probably wait a month or two and just let my, kind of forget some of it and just start the whole thing over and just watch it back, watch all 18 episodes or whatever it is back to back. And they're like hour long each. This is like a long show.
Is 18 season 1 and 2? Or?
Yeah. There's like 9 each, I think. I think it's like 9 each. Just to kind of understand it, because it picks up right afterwards, and it's like even just the plot of season 2 is based on the events of plot of season 1. And there was so much, like the end of season 1 is such like an emotional cliffhanger that you're like, you want to see what's next so bad. And I want to have that feeling going into season 2 and see if how I feel about it after that. You know what I mean? Maybe the buildup of season 1 and riding that all the way through season 2 is what you need to kind of appreciate it. But overall, yeah, I think it's not maybe quite as good. My actual pick.
Real quick.
Okay,
it feels like, well, first of all, everyone that I've seen, not a whole lot of people have said exactly what you said, where like, it's still probably the best animated thing I've ever seen, but it does fall apart, or at least it's just not satisfying at the end.
It's not, yeah. And I think, again, to me, part of that is we didn't build up. We built up a little quick for some of the end stuff. Like
gotcha.
it could have used a moment to breathe here and there to help. Anyway,
the second last thing I'll say before I get your actual answer is, it sounds like hearing you talk, it sounds like you're in a Star Wars Episode 1 apologist, where you're kind of like, you're watching it 3 or 4 times in the theaters. You're like, man, I really want to like this movie. So like, it's like, but maybe it's just
not that. Like I loved it. I love what the story, like this whole show's about like forgiveness. That's what like the theme and themes of this show is, and like second chances, and like, it's beautiful. Like it's doing shit like at like 400 IQ level thematic writing shit. You know what I mean? Like, and then the animation is just like
pretty good.
Perfect. And then the battle scenes are fucking epic. Like
is the ending cool? Is it a cool ending?
There's a huge battle and it's fucking amazing.
Then I'm in.
Like you got all these, and it's just that like, again, season 1 is just like to me is like, I don't know if anything's ever going to touch it in terms of just like everything works perfectly. And part of it was the
better
surprise.
Than Into the Spider-Verse. Like it's better than that.
It might be, especially because Into the Spider-Verse a cliffhanger. Even though season 1 is too,
no. The first one's not a cliffhanger.
I'm sorry, you're right. Yeah,
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I think it might be, and partly to me is like, I think here's my bias in that like I love stories so much, and to me, if you're going to tell a story over 9 episodes versus 1 movie, you've just got more room to do stuff.
Sure.
You've got more space to do more shit. And so part of it is just like the Arcane season 1 is just, it feels like it's the introduction to an entirely new world with all these nations and politics and caste systems and powers and like discovering magic for the first time and how that impacts the world. Like it just feels like it's like season 1, it feels like, oh, this is the beginning of a new cinema. And they're making more. I don't know if you know this. This is so cool. I can't remember the people that made the lull in this. They're self-funding it all of it. Arcane season 2 spent like $250 million on Arcane season 2 of their own money, because
but it's League of Legends though.
Yes,
right?
they're rolling in money.
Oh.
Yes,
well,
they're gonna do this. Like they have a plan for 5 seasons total, but like these 2 seasons were Arcane. The next season's gonna be in a different place, but still the same world. And the next, like they're just
Arcane is city. Is that that's what it is?
No. The city's Piltover. Arcane. So like Arcane is magic. They call harnessing the arcane is like interacting with
Gotcha.
magic in the world, and it's considered very dangerous, but then they turn it to technology.
So
Like
there'll
it's
be
just
like a gun season probably to mimic the game. I'm
well,
assuming I'm sure there's
there are
magic and
guns.
there's
There are guns.
guns.
It's very like steampunk. The world is very steampunk.
It's
So
like
there's
it reminds me
guns.
of Dishonored, where it's kind of like there's
Yes,
magic.
yes, yes,
and,
yes, yes, yes. It's
yeah,
it has a lot of similarities to that.
yeah.
And again, like it's just like getting introduced to a brand new world. Like there's so many. Like I can't pick a favorite character. I can't pick a favorite character arc. There's so many that you just like, I hated that character. I thought they were never going to come back, and now they're my favorite. Or this character I've loved all along. And so like, it's just like, it's full of like really interesting, realistic characters with really cool art. Like it just, it's really something special. Like I really feel like it is as a whole. And I think, I mean, it got me interested in a universe based on a game that I will never play ever. Ever. That I know the community is so toxic. I don't even want to try it. You know what I mean? So like, but like, I love these characters now. I love this world now. I can't wait to see what happens next. I hope they make. And Valorant is also another game that's apparently is also this universe. I don't know if you've heard of Valorant. It's like it's like
familiar.
It's like an Overwatch type game.
Oh, the one that PlayStation did?
Hero shooter.
That's not the one that PlayStation did.
No.
Tanked. Okay.
No. This one's it's a free to play one that's been around a few years now.
Gotcha.
But like if they make like a fucking RPG in this world, like I would eat that up day one. You know what I mean? Like, so anyway, yes, Arcane is my runner up.
It's your honorable mention. Okay, what's your real one? What's the one that got
real
you?
one? And I just think I thought, what is the show that I just had the most fun watching this year?
The Penguin.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Damn, it's a good show.
You forgot about that, didn't you?
I did, man. I Superman Lois is not the best show I've seen this year. That one might be. That's so good.
Listen, the Penguin is great. I love it. But Mr. and Mrs. Smith felt different, and it felt unique. It was doing its own thing. The acting and chemistry was impeccable. The story was interesting. It was shot well. The action was good. Yeah, that was in like March, April.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Man, we're not
and honestly, I was looking, I was like, what else came out this year? And I saw that. I was like, holy shit. How did I forget about this show? I mean, Donald Glover is one of my favorite actors, period. Artists, period. He's just one of the most interesting, like, what do they call it? Where you can do everything.
EGOT potential.
Yes, exactly. I'm sure he already has a few. Anyway, it's like it's such an incredible show. It's one of those that it does exactly what it wants to do. It completely nails it. It's perfectly contained that it can end where it did. Of course, I know, and I think it sounds like it will, which is like we're all kind of sad just because we loved that couple so much. We just wanted to see more of them. But man, yeah, dude, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, like I was on my radar. I was expecting to like it, but it really surprised me. And when I think about like all the shows I've watched this year, where like in the moment of watching that show, I was never bored. I was never criticizing something I was seeing or like, oh, that could have been better. Or maybe I wish this had been different or that. Like that show is like, nope, no changes, no notes. It was fantastic.
Kimberly really liked it too, and it was a fun one to watch together.
Yeah, Catherine did too. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, yeah, you're right. The show does end in a way where there's like a symbiosis where it's like, okay, I can imagine what happens next.
Right.
But there is a really sad thing about like, man, I really wanted one or two more seasons out of them.
Yes.
And
just because their chemistry was so good.
But it was just, I mean, and you're right. It was a kind of where artistry meets. It's like Dune, where artistry meets like blockbuster.
Yeah.
And on a television scale. And one thing about, I think that might have actually kind of turned it off to people is like, if it may be not too intellectual, but it
wasn't straight action. It wasn't. It was a show about relationships. It was a show about commitment. It was a show about compromise and figuring out how to work with people. It's a show about it was a love story. You know what I mean? And I think that was surprising about it, but it worked so well. And then like the action was fun and good when it did happen. It was really, and then there was a lot of like dry comedy that happened throughout that was just really, really good. Yeah, man, that show, I kind of want to
Well,
watch
even
it again now.
the title sequence is like when you watch
Yeah.
when you see like the commercial for Amazon Prime or like you see the
Yeah,
title
yeah.
sequence.
The I remember the teasers for this was like it's an action show.
Yeah,
Like that's all
yeah.
you got. And then you got into it and it was this like kind of slow, methodical love story that had action in it, but was also like about something deeper. And I thought that was
You know,
impeccable.
my answer right now for my favorite movie of all time is True Lies, and there
Sure.
is a True Lies TV show that I've not even seen
Hmm.
maybe 10 seconds of, and I've seen maybe the trailer, but I know it's going to be bad. But
Sure.
that's how you do that show. Also, you
Yeah.
do it. I think you do it like that, where it's different enough. But yeah, man, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good way to True Lies, I think.
Mm.
But man, oh man, what a over under. How excited are you to go back and revisit Brad and Angelina's Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
I never
Now that-
loved that movie. I thought it was
Sure,
okay. I think I saw it on TV. I never saw it like probably even the
yeah,
whole thing. It was like that movie just felt like let's just get Brad and Angelina naked a lot and look
naked.
sexy and like in their underwear or like just like it was like
Sure.
here's two of the sexiest movie stars alive and they're also husband. Weren't they married at the time or dating at the
I
time
think they
too?
were married. I
Yeah,
think.
and so like that to me was the spectacle of it, of like them being sexy action stars together. The spectacle of this is good writing and characters, which me, always gonna prefer that.
Yeah, if they weren't married during, they were definitely married after.
Right? Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
as far as gaming, we'll finish this up here with
Yes.
gaming. Um, you know, there's probably some better answers here, and I don't have to think about it, but so far the game that's like I think I mentioned it before, but it's just delighted me, and I have not played the Great Circle yet, Indiana Jones.
Right. Yeah.
There's a few games like I want to play Silent Hill 2. I want
Hmm.
to there's a few things I still want to do. I've just been so busy. But the one that I haven't finished it, but I know it's going to be a 10 out of 10 because it's a 10 out of 10 right now. It's Astrobot, which is up for Game of the
Oh yeah.
Year.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
is like it is so delightful from
Yeah.
game design to sound design.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really have to, it's like an actual true video game, right?
Yeah.
Where
Yeah. Yeah.
now I prefer games like Uncharted or Indiana Jones where we have a character and we're
Where
doing
it's not like almost like a meta advertisement the whole time, slightly.
yeah,
Kind of.
it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Like
is in a way, but it's like
yeah.
Mario. I love Mario not because of like I need to know his internal struggle. I like Mario because the joy of exploration
Sure.
and the gameplay loop is so good and the controls are so tight. It's a game. It's a
Yeah.
video game first. I will always pick, I think, the Uncharted over Mario if I
Sure.
had both options and
Sure.
only two options. But when those come along and they are executed to almost near perfection, you have to recognize it. And I think Astrobot is one of those. And again, that mixed with I'm not sure how much you've actually played with the um, haptic feedback controller.
A little bit,
Um,
but not much. I played the first Astrobot that came out with PS5, right? There was an
yeah,
Astrobot
there's
came in.
like a downloaded game on the
I
console. Yeah,
played that at your place one time. Like I played the Astrobot, the first one on your with the
yeah,
haptics and stuff. So I do remember a little bit of that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And so in that game was built to show off the controller
Right.
and
Right.
and,
Right.
and
Right.
they
Right.
take even more advantage of it with the second one. And it is one of the best platformers of all time. No, it gives Mario in some ways a run for its money. I still think Mario's probably better just from a variety standpoint, but
Sure.
it is a perfect game through and through. And so it's
I've
been really
heard.
fun to play it.
Yeah, I've heard. I mean, like a lot of critics say. I've heard even one podcast I like called the Besties. It's a gaming podcast. One of them there says he thinks it's like the best platformer of all time for him. Like
It
just
might be
yeah, yeah, just and that's awesome.
easily on
Yeah.
a graphical standpoint because it's the
Yeah.
PS5.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, like, sidebar is that it seems like that PS5 Pro is just absolutely unnecessary.
I mean, yeah, it
Yeah.
really feels like no one needed or wanted. I mean, I'm sure the people that have to have everything will buy it, but like it just doesn't feel like there's a very big market for it. What's kind of wild to me too, and I saw this is an original critique. This is someone else said that I just think makes a lot of sense. You're selling this to like the collectors, right? The people that like collect all PlayStation shit, the people that have every console. A lot of times those people also are like physical media collectors. A lot of times there's a lot of crossover there, right? and you're
Makes sense.
selling it without a disk drive.
Yeah.
Like the market you're trying to give this to, you're not giving them what they would want in this console. You know what I mean? Like those people want the disc drive. They want, because they have probably their PS4 games still, and you know what I mean? So it's like it just doesn't feel very thought. It almost felt like, oh well, we got to do a pro. We do a pro every time, right? Let's just make it faster and charge way fucking more. It's a pro now. It just didn't feel like there was a lot of like business, like, oh, we see a market, we know how to meet that, we can, you know, and it just feels like, yeah, there's just not a lot of noise about it, which is, I mean, again, I guess it's like, it does feel like, again, we're just at the diminishing returns of graphic fidelity and improvements anyway. You know what I mean? Like the next generation of consoles, well, I'm sure they'll look better. The reflections will be better. The shadows will be better. The lighting will be better, but it's not going to be a night and day. You know what I mean? There will still be games on the Xbox Series X that look better than the next box for the first few years or whatever it is. Like there always is. All that to say is like, it just does feel like a weird decision. I'm much more interested in the rumored Xbox portable
Handheld
console, which also Sony apparently is doing now too.
It's just that, I mean, Sony has done one, but it's just.
But they're doing another. Well, yeah, they've done several. I love the
Yeah.
PSP. I borrowed my cousin's for a while. It felt crazy having that good of graphics in my hand at the time.
Yeah, the Vita was also. I
Yeah.
mean,
It was a
didn't want it
PlayStation
until
2, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Essentially.
I mean, really a 2.5. I mean, like,
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't want one until the day of, and I went and bought one the day it came out on the Vita.
Yeah.
And I sold like a lot of used games, then bought the
Yeah.
Vita. But yeah, no, I'm super interested in the handheld, but I'm interested because they've never done it before.
Yeah.
But this is just another in between roadmap, whatever, to a game stick on a
Potentially,
TV
yeah.
or the TV already having. It's just Game Pass. It's just how do we get Game Pass
Sure.
portable? And so
Yeah, you're right. And but the thing is, it already kind of is, because you can get a Steam Deck and get Game Pass on the
no,
Steam Deck.
I know,
And that's
I know
actually,
this.
if I'm purchasing another console, probably the next one I would choose to purchase, other than a Switch 2, because our Switch is on its like last leg. The SD card reader stopped
Dude,
working.
everyone's is. I mean, mine's not. Mine's like
The
in great
SD
condition.
card stopped working,
but-
so we can't add any disk space to it. So you can have
Oh.
like 2 games downloaded at a time. And you got to delete one to download another one. It's a pain in
That
the butt.
sucks.
Yes,
And
but
they're like 7, 8 years old now.
yeah, they came
We,
out.
we were in grad school playing Mario Kart in
2016?
grad school.
2016. They came out in 2016. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but a Steam Deck is like the one where I'm like that. That is the console that would allow me to play even a lot of PlayStation games. I could play Spider-Man on the Steam Deck. You know what I mean? Like
Please
I could.
don't. But yeah, I get you.
Sure.
Please don't.
I
but I
just
get you.
I love portable gaming. I always have. I always loved my Game Boy. I always just love the portability of it. Take it where I never don't have to. I can play my games anywhere. Don't have to take a break. But I would love a PC version where I could play a lot of games that I just don't have access to on the Switch or the Xbox. But
I think.
okay, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say. I think this has been, even though there has been some amazing games, but this has been the most disappointing console generation for me so far.
In a while, yeah. I mean, the Xbox One generation was not great, at least on the Xbox. It was good on the
It wasn't.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will see. I mean, Xbox has a lot of ones that I'm really interested coming out in somewhere.
Are you still
sometime,
interested
somewhere.
in Avowed at all?
Very, very, very interested.
It's coming out soon, right?
in February, and the previews are like overwhelmingly positive. Everyone's
Oh.
saying it's great. Like it's
Good.
really good. It's like Obsidian doing their Obsidian shit. Like Obsidian has like made some of the best RPGs of all time. They made Fallout New Vegas. They made Knights of the Old Republic 2. They've literally just like almost, they don't really miss, and they're like, to me, the king of RPG and choice. So yeah, no, Avowed looks fantastic. I'm really looking forward to Avowed. Fable, I mean, we haven't barely seen anything of it, but like what I hear of it, that they're like going in a Witcher 3 kind of combat direction or like gameplay style direction. I love that. Witcher 3 was really good, but I think I might prefer the Fable universe more. So they have
I
some
do.
interesting things, They have some things that I'm like, I totally want to play that when it comes out. Like I'm like, it'll be a day one for me, and Xbox doesn't always have that, right? Every generation.
We just need
But,
like every 2 years instead of this every 4 or 5 year bullshit.
yeah.
I don't need one Halo game per generation. You know what I'm saying?
No, well,
And,
who knows what's going on with Halo?
Again, when they need to fix some shit, and
Yeah.
again, it is the part of life. the live game service thing, and then also it is the need to make every game 50 hours and look like it's photorealistic. So
Yep.
anyway, what's your number one game or your thankful game?
My thankful game, and I've already mentioned this on the podcast. I think last week we kind of get into a sidebar of it. Is Metaphor Refantasio.
Yes.
I don't know how you pronounce it, but this game, man, it really is bringing back my earliest memories of playing Pokemon. And like, there's a lot of similarities in like the gameplay style and stuff. Like, I remember Pokemon back in the day. Like the fun of it is leveling up your Pokemon, going into dungeons, managing your HP, but also your whatever it was called that like powered your moves. I can't remember what it's called in Pokemon, but you have like FP or whatever it is that like if you use a move, it uses that much of it and it runs out. You can't use your like special attacks anymore or whatever. Like managing those meters while you're trying to get far in a dungeon, battling trainers, picking up items that level up your Pokemon, or finding new moves to level up your Pokemon, finding those like synergies, like finding the perfect party where like it doesn't matter what type of Pokemon you face, you've got somebody that can take care of it. And you know what I mean? Like that kind of strategy type stuff is like what hooked me in Pokemon in the beginning. It was my first RPG. I think it was most kids' first RPG. And it is an RPG at the barest bones. Like, it's just kind of like really simple, not a lot of story, just fun monsters to battle. This game, it feels like I'm doing the same thing I used to do, like those same kind of management like habits and systems are happening. Metaphor has a very similar like I guess format where like you go in the towns, you meet people, you buy equipment, you upgrade stuff, you upgrade your team, and then you go in the dungeons, and that's where all the battles happen. And you like go dungeons and you get save points, and you come back and you rest and you go back in for more dungeons. And it's like all the monsters you battle have weaknesses and resistances, and like you can use lightning on this enemy, but if you use like fire, it'll block it, and then your turn's over, and like they get a turn, like, so I'm like doing the same kind of like, there's the same kind of weakness and like non-weakness system that Pokemon has, where it's just like certain elements hurt certain types of enemies and certain ones do. It's got the same thing where like instead of Pokemon or I'm leveling up, this one has what they're called archetypes, right? And so it's like I have the warrior archetype, and if I level up my warrior archetype, not only do I learn more new moves, but then once I learn up to a certain level, I unlock the sword master archetype, and then I can upload that one. It has different moves, and so like you're building these like, and what's cool is like every time you level up a certain archetype, you get it to the top, you can then like inherit skills from other archetypes. So you can make these really interesting like hybrid builds that have synergies. Like there's a certain move that like a defensive archetype has that moves everyone to the back row. This is a kind of game that has a front row and back row in battle, and they all get like triple defense, and they do that. Then there's another character that if they're right after, they can move everyone back to the front row, and they get all like hyper offensive stats like boost. And so like there's really just like elements like that just like there's a lot of like synergies defined. The story is so fucking dark and like brutal, and like it's like that. It's like there's times where I think I'm playing Pokemon, and then there's times where like a character's head gets cut off, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, this isn't Pokemon. You know what I mean? But it's fun.
Is Reese liking it? Is he watching it all or no?
He watches it. He likes it. There's a couple monsters because they're designed pretty unsettlingly, like on purpose. There was this giant baby head monster that was a little freaky for all of us, that I had to like, okay, well, I'll play this monster better, like I'll play this monster later. But like it's really like again, the story is political. It's very RP or like JRPG or very anime, where it's like you have your characters monologue about righteousness or hope or bravery, you know what I mean? And it's like,
love it.
It's like it's like an anime where there's no subtext, everything has to be said, right? But it's like endearing in that way. It's like, oh, I like anime. I like this is making just me think of a good like a fun anime. And it's got that, like I said, it's like got those same kind of Pokemon tropes of like I'm building my team, I'm swapping out different moves, I'm trying out different like elements or different instead of different Pokemon, I'm trying out different archetypes on different people and finding. And the cool thing too, it's like there's also like synergy powers. So if I've got a knight and this guy on the field, I can do a combo move with them that's like really powerful or whatever. So like, but different matches give different combos. So like, there's just a lot going on at a strategy level that I'm like always trying to figure out how to optimize my team. And then like, of course, like, you know, because it's a Persona, like the way you optimize your team is you go hang out with them. You know what I mean? So like it's broken up like a day night, like it's a calendar system, and every day has an afternoon and an evening, and you can choose what to do with each of those. So I can go hang out with this character then and that character then, and then that ranks up the archetype like abilities. So like it's just a really fascinating game. And like I know Persona's been doing it for a while. This isn't new to a lot of people because they played Persona. And Persona 5 was huge. But it's brand new to me, like this kind of thing. Plus it's reminding me of Pokemon. Plus it's just like dark and brutal and political and like, you know, but also a little bit comforting to be in this world because there's like a very clear black and white between like good and evil. You know what I mean? So it's like
nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of fun to dip into that world and be like, I know everyone that's bad. It's clear that you can see how they're dressed. You know if they're bad.
Black hair and emo black hair.
Yes,
yeah,
100%. Absolutely. So anyway, yeah, it really surprised me. Like I thought I would have some fun, but like I'm kind of become pretty obsessed with it where I'm just like, it's the only thing I want to play. I just want to keep grinding dungeons. I want to keep leveling up my squad. Like I think I'm only like a third of the way through the game and I've already played like 30 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, like it's
worth it though. Worth your money.
Yeah, man. Like I'm usually not a JRPG guy. I'm usually not like I do like turn-based combat. I love me some Baldur's Gate 3, some Darkest Dungeon and shit like that. But yeah, it's really surprised me, and it's what's fun is it feels like, okay, I actually might try Persona after this. You know, it feels like it's kind of like awakened me to a new genre of game I didn't know I liked or forgot that I liked. And that's like always really exciting, I think, is like when you find something maybe you loved as a kid, but you just disconnected from or forgot about it. And you're like, wait, this shit still hits. You know what I mean? I'm going to do this some more, you know, even like when I've been reading through the Expanse novels, and that's the same way, like reading through these giant sci-fi fantasy novels with these epic giant stories of like, I used to do that all the time as a kid. Now it's like, it's hitting again. And so, yeah, I'm really happy, especially going into the holidays, that I have this giant meaty, you know, 90-hour RPG to get through. So
when anime hits right, dude, it's so good. It's so fun.
It is good.
It's such a nice experience.
You know, Catherine and I watched Death Note this year.
I saw this amazing like TikTok the other day where someone's getting someone to sign something, and they just hand the book and they sign it, whatever, and it's like this famous artist. He flips it over, it's the Death Note, and he like looks up like, you know,
yeah,
it's just like a fun gotcha kind of thing.
Yeah, that's great.
He signed his own name too, obviously, you know, because he's signing at a convention. Pretty brilliant joke there. Yeah. Well, Daniel, it was super fun hearing about your three things you're thankful for. Of course, there's all kinds of things that I'm sure we're both thankful for in terms of media. I just want to say I'm thankful for you for being on here every week with me, or most weeks throughout the year. Again, we're doing it for 5 years now, with little to no return. And we're also thankful for our 3 listeners who've tuned in with us. And you know, every now and then we get like 50 or 60 views on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And that's nice. That feels
high
good.
rollers. Like, yeah.
I know. Yeah, we got an
only like
audience
50 years away from our like silver play button.
Oh,
at that rate.
If that, yeah, we've almost hit 75,000 views total on YouTube.
That's not the worst. That doesn't feel like a small number to me.
I guess maybe, yeah, maybe.
Listen, let's just start making like lowbrow, brain dead, like Roblox TikTok content. Our numbers will skyrocket. That's all we got to do. All we got to do is sell out.
Well, again, this
doesn't take. It's a pretty simple. All you got to do is sell out, and we can do whatever we want.
It's true. I I was trying to sell out hard in the beginning, but I think, it's truly become to me now like, well, I don't care about the numbers anymore. This is just a thing that I want to do because I like to have these kind of discussions with you, and if people want to listen to it, that's great.
Yes.
But I just enjoy that part of it.
Yes, and I know there are listeners out there that don't always talk about it. Mason Kinsfodder, I know you listen sometimes. Joel, of course, our most loyal writer inner. and always has great feedback on a lot of our episodes. So if you want to give us feedback on our episode, you can write into bit.ly/241mail, and you can join in with us on the discussion. Let us know. I would love to hear from our listeners. You can write in. Let us know what your 3 things you're thankful for in media this year: movies, TV shows, and gaming. Or maybe if there's other categories, just let us know. What are you thankful for this year? bit.ly/241mail.
And if you can't let us know in the bit.ly, you can always find us in the comment section below, youtube.com/@2for1studios. Again, it's been super fun. I'm glad I got to hear it. And there was a curveball thrown there with
Did I fuck
Mr.
up
and
the
Mrs. Smith.
thumbnail? Did I fuck up the thumbnail?
No, we talked about Arcane just enough, right? It can still be on the thumbnail.
Yeah, man,
so
I almost talked about Arcane more than Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, it works out. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it.
It's a nice curveball even from the thumbnail. It's like, oh, obviously that's one of their favorites.
100%.
And it's like, whoa, twist ending.
Don't get me wrong. The first thing I thought when you said it's my runner-up, I was like, God damn it, I have to do a different thumb. That was the first thing I thought, and I appreciate that you acknowledged it.
Yes, yes.
So anyway, my name is Donovan Thompson.
I'm Daniel Wingfield.
And we have spoken.